Hello and welcome everyone to the Tech Sharmit podcast. Today I'm thrilled to introduce you a special guest Ziggy Zulueta who joins us all the way from Philippines. Ziggy is a Microsoft most valuable professional in the field of artificial intelligence. His expertise is backed by an impressive 9 plus Microsoft certification including Azure Solution Architect Expert, Azure Administrative Associate, and Azure AI Engineer. Beyond his technical achievements, Zig is also contributing as a writer for uh, also a contributing writer for the Philippines Star, where he shares insights on the evolving landscape of AI. So, in this episode, we are going to talk about his professional journey and his contribution to the IT industry. But before we dive in, I'd like to extend my gratitude to Ziggy for joining us today in this episode. And now I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us something about yourself.
Hello, Tech Sharmit. So first and foremost, I'm here in the Philippines. I located in Makati. So it's a central business district here. Besides the things that you mentioned, I'm also a LinkedIn learning instructor. So I've been contracted by LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a Microsoft subsidiary, which and they have a LinkedIn learning platform. So it's a platform wherein if you have a LinkedIn premium account, you have access to the LinkedIn learning platform in which you have access to all of these video-based content, whether it be from AI to cloud computing or even to playing the piano or the guitar. So I've been contracted by LinkedIn to provide Microsoft AI instructional videos globally through the platform. So I have a couple of videos already up in the plate, but I also have a big project upcoming which we can discuss later.
Okay, fine. So, yeah, let's start with your career journey. So, Ziggy, you have an impressive career in tech and AI. So, can you share with us your journey? Like, how did you first get started in the world of AI and cloud computing?
To be honest, I'm not really young anymore. I'm in my mid 40s. I'm at 46 already.
Mm-hmm.
When I graduated from college, and that was around 2001, my thesis was already in AI.
Okay.
And at that time, AI wasn't really a big thing yet, unlike today because of ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day, my thesis was about having a ball and beam balancing system. So you have a beam. So as a human, you have a beam, and then you have a ball. You try to balance it in between a beam. And what does our mind do? We use our eyes as a vision system to detect where the ball is, and then from there, without any computations, we just manually correct and try to balance the ball with beam. So I created a similar solution with AI, in which I had a computer that was, typically the analogy here is that I had a computer, I had a camera that was connected to computer. So that's the cameras, imagine it as the eyes of the computer. And then the input of the camera would go to the computer to solve the problem. And then from there, the computer was connected to a machine. And then from there, the system was able to balance the ball in around 4 seconds. And it was published in an international engineering journal.
Okay.
So back in the day, I mean, that was solid, state of the art stuff. But now it's just something that you buy off the shelf in a toy store. And then from there, I started my career in Procter and Gamble as an IT project manager. And since AI wasn't really that much of a thing, I somehow was not able to focus on it because yeah, I mean at the time there's my PC was 200 megahertz and then I only had a 512 megabyte
Okay.
RAM, so people weren't using it. And then I went back to AI around the pandemic. So around 2020, I started learning it again. And I mean previous to that, I was also in love with Microsoft technologies. So I've been developing mobile applications using Azure technologies in 2018. No? So that it was that time I started to focus on Microsoft and started focusing on AI. And before I became an MVP, I started to have all of these AI talks, and no one was even going and attending them because AI wasn't a buzzword.
Right.
Then ChatGPT came to the picture, and that's where all of a sudden a lot of people started booking me for all these talks. So
Yeah.
that's been my journey. Yeah.
Okay. And I think you are the first Microsoft MVP in the Philippines, which is for sure an incredible achievement. So, what does it mean to you to hold this title, and how has it impacted your professional journey?
Okay, just to clarify,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the first MVP in the Philippines. So
Okay.
there are a lot of MVPs in the Philippines, but
Okay.
there are around only four active right now. But I'm the first one in AI. So
In AI.
as
Okay.
you notice, yeah. So Microsoft has all of these technologies from A to Z, and each of the different technologies they provide an MVP award. So around less than 4,000 in the world. In fact, from the last time I checked, we were around 3,600. And then from there, out of those 3,600, some will be in Azure, some will be in Dynamics, in Power Platform, Power BI, and so on and so forth. So I'm in the AI space.
Okay.
So how does it affect my career? Well, to be honest, obviously it has really provided me a lot of opportunities. Thanks to being an MVP, I get all of these gigs, I get all of these jobs, I get all of these speaking engagements. I also got the contract with LinkedIn to provide AI content. So it's really um, helped a lot. But when it comes to AI here in the Philippines, not much. I mean, the Philippines is not as more advanced. It's not as advanced as other developed nations are. So to be honest, most of my work is in fact overseas versus here.
Okay.
So more than 70 to 80% of my work is actually catering to overseas clients for the moment versus having them here. In fact, if I do have clients here in the Philippines, it's mostly on Power Platform. So Power Apps, Power Automate.
Okay.
Not so much on AI, to be honest.
All right. And if we talk about certification, because you have lots of certification under your belt, so with 9+ Microsoft certification, what motivated you to pursue such a diverse range of certifications, and how do they complement each other in your work?
Okay. So as I mentioned, the Philippines is not a developed nation.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be the jack of all trades. So you can't be. I mean, if I focused on AI alone,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be. And then and I try to do business here. I wouldn't be able to survive because the AI is not it's pretty much it's not predominantly used as of this moment. I mean the situation here is um focused more on digital transformation versus AI transformation.
Okay.
So I mean having their ERP systems, having business platforms. I mean and then if you look at it in an organization or in a company, you first need to have the infrastructure in, you need to have the data in, and then once you have all the data and the infrastructure, then that's the time you start moving up the ladder and then start using AI. So most of the organizations here are not even in that stage yet to have AI ready. So having said that, I had to adapt. If I wanted to do business here or I wanted to survive, I need to be a full stack engineer. So
Okay.
for example, if you look at it, if you just focus on AI, it's just one part of the solution of having a complete end-to-end solution. You need to have, for example, a database. You need to have storage. You need to have a web application to host your AI application, and so on and so forth. So I had to connect. I mean, if I wanted to become a full stack engineer, I had to learn all of these things from end to end. So that's why there's Azure AI. Azure AI is one of them. Azure Solutions Architect is another, in which
Okay.
to build a whole architecture. Azure Administrator is to administer within Azure. And then I have Power Platform for business applications and so on and so forth. So it has to be the reason why I took all of those was that I had to, learn all of those to adapt to the situation.
Okay.
And it was, thanks to that, I was able to become more adaptive. So a lot of customers, when they talk to me, I just not know AI, I know a lot of things. So that really helps a lot.
Okay. So, is there any specific certification which you are doing right now? Currently means you are doing anything as a certification, any course or anything?
Well, one that I worked on, which I just before I even talked to you, I worked on as my MCT. So I've
Okay.
been doing a lot of trainings. I've been doing a lot of training, so might as well get my Microsoft certified MCT certification in. So I just completed the assessment a
Okay.
while ago, so hopefully I'll be able to get the results within the next few days. Um, I also intend to have more expert level certifications, like the Power Platform Solutions Architect, because I've been doing a lot of Power Platform work anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing. And maybe on database engineering, so and Fabric. So I have one Fabric certification. I saw that there's a new one. So I might also look into that. So quite a lot actually. You'll never run out of things to study here in Microsoft.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I think now it's time to discuss bit about the community building because you are also playing a vital role for building the community across the IT industry. So being involved in community building like is a big part of being a Microsoft MVP as well. So what has been your experience building and contributing to those tech community both in the terms of Philippines as well as in terms of international level? So how it is going on?
Well, here in the Philippines, I've noticed that most of the people who are, how do you call this, very involved in community building, or the people, when I invite people over, it's mostly the students.
Okay.
And it's actually two things. One is that they're required to do it in school. That's one. It's like a lot of I see a lot of students come and ask for seminars because their school requires them to have 40 hours of face-to-face seminars for
Okay.
the whole what do you call this semester, as you call it, as part of the requirements to pass a certain subject. So
Those
that's
mandatory,
one thing.
yeah, those are
Yeah,
mandatory
yeah.
trainings. Okay.
So apparently, if I do it online, I get it's like I mean no one attends. But if I do it on site, it's like 150 people to 100 to 150 people attend easily, and most
Okay.
of them are students. So that's what I noticed here in the Philippines. There's some what do you call this? There's some people who are managers or supervisors or in the business industry, but not too much. Um, but I noticed overseas when they do hold these events, there will be people from overseas, and those are the professionals that really want to learn or really want to learn the subject matter. Yeah, so that's one thing I noticed that's different with regards to these things.
Okay. Okay, and as a AI become like we all know that it's more widespread. So what role do you think it can play in developing the countries like yours, the Philippines, in both in terms of economic development as well as in addressing local challenges? So how it is going to impact the thing?
Well, the Philippines is very much focused on the BPO industry. In fact, it plays a huge part of the economy, similar to India. I believe you're in India, right? So
Right.
the BPO industry provides a lot of money in terms of GDP for the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
But that industry will be in danger because AI is there to threaten that industry. So I believe people in that industry should really upskill themselves and prepare for such an eventuality. I can imagine AI affecting that industry as a whole. So I think the Philippines needs to do a better job of preparing for that shift. The other one is that it's not only the Philippines but in general.
Mm-hmm.
I have this I always tell people that like 15 years ago when you're applying for a job, you had to put in your resume that you're computer literate, that you need to have knowledge on word processing, Excel processing, sending emails and whatnot. So that's what we call computer literate. But these
Okay.
days, no one puts that in their resumes anymore. It's a given that you need to know that.
Yes.
I can imagine that to be the case in the next 5 years or so, that you need to put in your resume that you're AI literate. And why is that so? Because if you look at it, the Gen Z people are the ones that will replace the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these people that I've been talking to, whether it be they're in high school or in college or university, they've been using a tool such as ChatGPT. They're
Right.
using AI already. In other words, these people who are coming in line to replace the workforce, all of them are expected to have such a technology when they go to the workplace. It's the same thing that what happened to me 20 years ago. when I was still in university and the internet was still a fad, as you call it. And at the time it was a fad, though, but only people, the young ones, were using the internet. But eventually, all of us, became older. We replaced the older generation of the workforce, and the
Right.
internet is now a common thing. So I can imagine AI to be the next internet as well in the years to come. And it's a matter of AI not replacing people, but it's AI with a person combined. What
Right.
do you mean by that? Yeah, because I mean, if you look at it, if you don't have domain expertise, if you don't know anything about your business,
Mm-hmm.
and you prompt AI, it's gonna provide results, but you will not be able to verify if the results are true or not.
Correct.
But if you're an expert, you know your thing, you'll be able to verify that this result sucks. I need to improve it with my prompting, and so on and so forth. So it's having a person who is very much adept in AI, who will be the next generation of workforce.
Right. And I completely agree with that statement that AI is not going to replace the things, but the person with AI skills for sure are going to replace the workforce. So, is there any piece of advice which you like to give to those like who are working in BPO industries or uh, more other industries like that, like how they can start adopting the AI things or other modern things uh, along with their day-to-day work so that they can be able to survive in the upcoming years.
Well, it's all a matter of number one, understanding first
Mm-hmm.
how AI will impact your industry. So, I mean, the BPO industry is one special example.
Yeah.
Um, it can really be a case that the menial, the small level of support
Mm-hmm.
that BPOs are doing right now will eventually be replaced in the same way that the typewriter was replaced by the computer.
Right.
So we need to understand the fact that for that portions of the work, there will really be a replacement. So you need to somehow uh, create a new service that will replace that. So that's one aspect. So it's knowing about how AI will really affect your industry as a whole, and then from there determining uh, what are the other services that you can provide on top of, I mean, value add services you can do to replace the revenue that you'll be losing. So I
Yes.
think that's one thing that each industry needs to determine for themselves.
Okay. All right. And if we talk about your role as a LinkedIn learning instructor, because you are a LinkedIn learning instructor with a large global audience, so what do you think are the key element of creating effective and engaging training content, especially on those complex topics like AI and cloud computing?
Yeah. So probably one of the good traits I have is trying to explain complex things in a simpler manner.
Okay.
So trying to explain to a person in layman's terms how complex what do you call this, a concept is. So I think that's one thing that I have. That's one thing that people should have if you want to go into that space.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for example, the course that I'm creating is to complement Azure AI Fundamentals. So Azure AI Fundamentals is the entry level certification of Microsoft when it comes to AI. But the common feedback that we got was that it was too intimidating to people. It was too technical. If
Mm-hmm.
you're a person who's not in the IT industry or is not familiar with all these technical terms, you will somehow get lost or somehow get intimidated to not even proceed further.
Okay.
So I'm creating this course with LinkedIn in partnership with Microsoft, wherein we will create something that is less intimidating, something that's more open to
Mm-hmm.
people who have no technical backgrounds, to people who want to shift careers into AI or just want to learn AI in general to make themselves a better person in the workplace, to provide them a competitive advantage. So having said that, it's more of a lot of pictures, a lot of analogies, trying to break down concepts into simpler things that normal people understand. So yeah, so that's actually a skill and a challenge altogether in creating these video courses.
Okay. And as someone who delivers expert training globally, because you are doing it for a very long time, so what are the biggest challenges you have encountered when teaching AI and cloud technologies, and how how do you overcome those kind of challenges?
Well, it's really I mean, if you look at it, the the, the course that they create so far are
Mm-hmm.
very technical in nature, and
Mm-hmm.
because of the name in itself, I mean, people not a much, not a lot of people attend to it. I mean, it's not a basic course, for example. So hopefully, with this new one that I'm creating, hopefully things will change. It's going to
Okay.
be more basic. It's so yeah, it's really getting the audience. That's the main challenge. Really getting the audience to look into the course and to actually, stay in the course and complete it. Because with this new course that I'm creating, so I'm flying to the US actually this October, end of
Okay.
October, to film it in the LinkedIn studio. Once you complete that course, there will be a exam that you will take. And then once
Okay.
you complete the exam, you'll get a Microsoft certification, a LinkedIn Microsoft certification. So that's a pretty cool stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully this course flies, that people really, do become more interested in AI. It's
Right.
actually how do you call this? I'm actually my my audience base is very limited because of the fact that number one, it's in AI, and number two, it's focused on Microsoft.
Hmm.
So that's a challenge altogether. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So somewhere you are saying that those perks are something that helps you to bring students and other folks to learn about these things, and it makes more interesting for them if those things are there, so they can learn
Yeah.
it
You have
for
a
the sake of
certificate.
certificates.
I mean, yeah, yes, yes, yes. I mean, if I created a course that is more, for example, high level on AI for business, then probably a lot more would attend. But if you put it, Azure AI with Microsoft, then all of a sudden your audience becomes smaller. So hopefully, with the certification on top of it, there's some reward for them to, consider taking it.
Right, right. And I think this thing you have observed, as you mentioned, like in Philippines, all those students came to join those conferences because it is mandatory for them. Like college are asking them to do those things. So something, same thing we can relate here as well. Like students are not only in Philippines, like all in all other countries as well. Like if students are forced to do something for the sake of certification or to show some proof, then yeah, they are more interested in doing those things. Okay, and my next question is related to AI transparency. So there has been a lot of talk about AI transparency nowadays. So what steps do you think are necessary to ensure AI systems are understandable and trustworthy for end user, particularly within the Azure ecosystem?
Okay, so transparency is actually one of the six Microsoft AI responsible principles.
Mm-hmm.
So when you create a system, you need to follow those six principles. So the six would be inclusivity, so that's one,
Okay.
privacy and safety, security and reliability, fairness, transparency is there as fifth, and then accountability.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes through transparency, there are a couple of things that you need to figure out. Number one is transparency within the system itself. So
Okay.
when you create a system, it cannot be a black box wherein you put an input and then you have an output and you're not able to explain the results. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one part of the equation on transparency. The other part of the Another part would be when you have a system, if it's intended to be used in that system, it should, provide the outputs for that specific intention. No? So that's the second part. The other side of the story when it comes to transparency is actually telling users that AI is being used in a system.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you mean by this? For example, one example would be Copilot. So this is one example of showing transparency on the user end. So before when you use Copilot, I'm talking about Copilot chat, the web chat that you have.
Yeah.
From the very first time you use the system, if it's the first time you use it, there will be a checkbox in which you need to agree that once you click on this, you're agreeing that AI will be used in the system. So that's one.
Yeah.
Second one is when outputs are provided, there will be a statement there that says that this is AI generated. the output, the image or the text is AI generated, and there can be issues that may come out of it.
Mhm.
So that's another. And the third one is when providing outputs, you're supposed to provide explanations. So that's the good thing about Copilot. Every time you ask a question about it, there will be responses that will come out with specific links to for you to verify if the results are and the links are consistent. So
Mhm.
those are a couple of things that you should look that we can look at. So from the side of the person implementing the system, they should have a system that is readily available. I mean, the results are readily available for interpretation, and that people are able to override it. So that's one thing I forgot also to mention. So besides the fact that it's not a black box, that you're able to verify why the results are that way. But it's another one should be that people have the ability to override if needed. So that's on the company side. And then on the user side, it's properly communicating to the user that AI is being used in the inputs and the outputs and so on and so forth.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the one of the most important topic, which is related to your LinkedIn courses. So what are the
Mhm.
videos that you published on LinkedIn so far, and what is your plan for the upcoming month? Because I know that there are pretty much good content you have already published on the LinkedIn. So could you please share more information about it?
So my mandate is actually to create Microsoft AI videos in the
Mm-hmm.
platform.
Okay.
So what I've done so far is I've done two of them. So one is on generative AI, in
Mm-hmm.
which the first course is about building a RAG solution with Azure A Studio. So that may seem complicated, but in general, a RAG solution is like having your own chat GPT, but with your business data. So
Okay.
we've read about a lot of articles on chat GPT being able to pass the board exam, being able to pass an IQ exam. And it's possible because the AI model, ChatGPT, has been trained on public information, on public internet data. So
Right.
that's why when you ask questions about it, it's able to respond in a similar manner because of that. But the issue is company information, company data is not in the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to have your own chat GPT experience, but with your own data. You can do so with Azure AI Studio,
Mm-hmm.
and you can do so without any coding knowledge. So with just a few clicks here and there, with Azure AI Studio, you can create a
Okay.
model, AI model that's trained on your business data. So that's the first course. The second course is about Azure AI Document Intelligence. In a nutshell, there are a lot of companies out there who receive a lot of documents, whether it be invoices, receipts, or any custom forms or documents that they need to manually reconcile. So for example, you get a purchase order, you get an invoice or receipt. Companies would manually look at the document, encode it in their financial systems so that
Mm-hmm.
there's, the data is properly inputted. With AI document intelligence, it practically eliminates these manual encodings. So with AI, the document will be read, all the necessary information will be extracted and placed in your financial systems.
Mm-hmm.
So that's course number two. Course number three is what I mentioned earlier. So it's creating a Azure AI Essentials course. We call it Azure AI Essentials. It's a precursor. It's something that will help individuals who have no technical background who want to shift careers into
Mm-hmm.
AI or want to learn anything about Azure AI in that particular manner.
Okay.
And if they complete that course, they will get a certificate, and that course is designed for them. It's not going to be too technical. It's going to be in a manner in which they can understand it, and then for them to know more about AI in general in Microsoft Azure.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, I have other two other courses up in the ladders, which I cannot disclose right now.
Okay.
But it's more focused on Azure AI developers. So it's one end was the non-technical, so that's the one that I'm flying to the US, and another would be very technical, in which it's really coding and programming stuff in within Azure. So it's really, you know, from one end of the perspective to the other.
Right. So, like if let's say if someone wants to learn or follow these courses, so is these courses are paid one, or they can freely you refer those courses which you have already published?
Yeah, the first two courses that I have,
Mm-hmm.
they're all paid, but not to worry.
Mhm.
There's a QR code that I can probably share to you, in
Okay.
which once they click on that QR, once they scan that QR code, they can get a free 1 month subscription.
Okay.
The course that I'm creating, this Azure AI Essentials course, which I'm creating the third one, I believe that Microsoft might be putting it up open to the public for those who do not have a LinkedIn account.
Hmm.
So that's a good thing. So yeah, I mean, I don't know much about it yet on how they plan to do that, but I think it's a plan. And we even plan to have it in many different languages.
Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, now I would like to ask my last question because I know that there are many things that we can discuss here, but just because of the limitation of time, I'm going to put my last question, and it is related to your hobbies. So, what hobbies or interests do you pursue? Because I know that you are doing lot of professional as well as technical things in your day-to-day life. But what all hobbies or interests do you pursue outside your professional life that helps you to stay motivated and inspired?
I work out a lot. I actually work out 4 to 5 times a week.
Okay.
Um, I can still I can still do a leg press of 700 pounds.
Okay.
That's around 200, I think nearly 300 kilos. I can still do I can still deadlift a lot, 400 pounds. I can still deadlift. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm for 46 years of age, I still can do that. And the reason for that is that I'm consistent. I
Hmm.
treat exercise as something that is needed for your work life. Because if there's something wrong with your health, you will not be able to operate in your work.
Correct.
So when you get to my age, it's something more important. And my secret there is to, really put it as a calendar like a meeting.
Mhm.
If you don't put it, if you don't put exercise in your calendar, you'll forget it, and people will book meetings here and there. So I put it in my calendar and treat it like a meeting so that I adhere to that schedule. And that really helps me a lot. I mean, if you're stressed out within the day and then all of a sudden you start working out, I walk to the gym, that clears up your head, and then all of a sudden a lot of new ideas come in. And yeah, I mean, health is wealth. Your mind will not work if your body isn't there. Yeah.
Correct. Here I would say like not only your professional thing but your hobbies are also something that is inspirational for all those students like who are watching this podcast, because the way you are managing all these things, you are taking care of your health as well as your work, and also you are contributing back to the society by providing them such a knowledgeable course. So yeah, thank you. And thank you once again, Ziggy, for joining us today in this episode and for sharing all these information with us. I hope you also enjoyed the sessions. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much as well. Nice talking to you.
Thank you.